How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Mentor Monday. Mentor Monday is your weekly microdose of encouragement, inspiration, and miracle grow on your potential as a coach. Do me a huge favor right here. Jump inside of the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from, what you're excited about, what you feel life and momentum on. Also, do me a big favor and like this post and share it. Every time that we go live on Mentor Monday, if you've never been with us on a Mentor Monday, but if you have been with us, you know this is true. We never give you fluff. We're always trying to do things. And, sometimes when you have freebies, you don't expect anything good, but we're always trying to do things that actually help you develop as a coach, grow as a coach. So we've been in this particular series that has been having that as the focus. Is giving you some handles on working with clients, how you map out that journey in the very beginning. If you've benefited from Mentor Monday, do me a favor and like this post and share it. It tells Facebook and YouTube that we're doing a good job. No one knows who's liking it and those kinds of things, except for Facebook and YouTube, except maybe your friends who are following you on Facebook. But that's a good thing because you're showing people that there's something of value here. We want to show the rest of the coaching world, anybody who's looking around for help, that we're really trying to give great content every week that we come here that doesn't waste your time. And so every week that we come in here, we're trying to give you tools. We're trying to encourage you. We're trying to help you build your business. So if you've benefited from that, just take 1 second. It'll take you 1 second and it mean a lot to us that you do that. Let me say hello to a few of the people saying hello to me. America's joining us from Richmond, Virginia. I want to make sure that my microphone is working okay here. It looks like it is. Who else I need to say hello to? Simone from Central Oregon. Lisa is joining us from Macon. Is that Georgia? I know of Macon, Georgia. Kathy's joining us from Ohio. David is joining us from Belleville, Illinois. It's Christy saying hello to me and everybody else. Amanda's joining us from Troy, New York. Steven's joining us from Ontario. Um, Dina is joining us from Canada as well. And Dina says, life is awesome. Super excited. Very good. Oh, thank you so much for that, America. We appreciate that. And Corey is joining us from Washington State. If you're just making it into the room, you haven't missed anything quite yet. But do me a huge favor. Like this post, share it, comment, all those things. Tell Facebook and YouTube that we're doing a good job and we're trying really hard to help you grow as a coach on the skill side and also to help you not only grow in proficiency as a coach, but we want you to thrive in your coaching practice and really help your clients get breakthrough. So if you benefited from any Mentor Monday, you know we don't waste people's time. We're going to give you great stuff tonight. So if you could preemptively just like this post and share it, that would be very beneficial for us. Who else I need to say hello to? Um, oh, yeah, Corey. We said hi to Corey. And I don't know, David. You're going to have to figure it out, I suppose. Yes, Macon, Georgia. And recently certified. There we go. November 23rd, setting smart goals to get my first client by January 15th. Ask Americo. He's on right now. He had a client. I don't even think he'd completed certification. And he was like, can I take clients? Because people are knocking on my door. So talk to him. He's one of those who got everything started really quickly. So cool. All right. Well, what are we talking about this week? This is what we're jumping into. We have been in this series for a few weeks. This is week 4, mapping the journey of your coaching clients. And what we're trying to do in this particular series, I've never done this series before. What we're trying to do is that we're mapping out that beginning journey with your clients. And I know a lot of you are getting clients or you're starting working with clients. And sometimes when you get trained and certified, and I realize some of you have not gotten trained and certified, I'll talk to you in a minute. But when you start out, you're kind of like, well, what are these first steps? What should I be doing? What should I be thinking about? What is a great onboarding process that I should have with clients? What kinds of questions should I be asking to help them get clarity on the beginning? Because one thing that I'll tell you is that you want to get people on track really quickly because we want to hit the ground running. We want to help them get on towards their work of whatever they're trying to achieve, their personal goals, their breakthroughs, and everything else. And I find sometimes new coaches don't really know how to hit the ground running with clients. And sometimes they really waste a lot of great transformational time in that first month, second month, 3 month. and third month. And honestly, for me, I think that first 90 days, if you can hit the ground running, that is really some of the most transformative work that you're able to do. And then you know what happens at 90 days? 90 days, we can actually just really hit the afterburners and get on to some extraordinary like work towards their goal. Because you know what happens in that first 90 days? We're doing a lot of stuff in those 90 days to help them get real, that starts to reveal some of the lenses by which they see their life, some of the things that have been holding them back and everything else. A lot of times in that first 90 days, people are in great behavior mode, and that's when you start to notice some things starting to fall off or whatever. So if we can fast track this intake process, this beginning stage, and really hit it, then we can really like see our clients get transformation. Not necessarily, I'm not talking about trying to get something quickly as much as I'm talking about your own effectiveness as a coach so that you're not wasting great time, because I don't want to have a client 90 days, 6 months wondering if they should have hired me because they're not getting the gains that they expected by that point. So if you know what your steps are, then you can get them on track. They can feel really, really good about the process. They're learning about themselves along the way, because that's what's happening in this mapping the journey part. You're learning about them, but they're learning about themselves because you're starting with brilliant questions that get them thinking. And if you can get them to clarity in the very beginning, then they are really on target and they're very motivated. Matter of fact, the last 2 weeks, we've been talking specifically about those motivating factors. We talked about mastery last week. And we also talked about, that the fact that progress, a person seeing that they are developing, that they are progressing, that they can see where they came from, and where they're going, and all of those other things, and where they are in that process, how critical that is to maintaining a client and also maintaining a client's motivation. In this third week, in terms of what we're talking about in motivation, we've kind of taken a little side. We kind of went off on the side just a little bit on the scenic journey to really focus on these three areas of motivation. Again, those are autonomy. And then last week we talked about mastery. This week we're talking about purpose. And when I'm talking about purpose, I'm not necessarily saying life purpose or whatever, but what I am saying is that people need to feel like what they are doing actually matters, that it's actually significant. And purpose is one of those things that really people talk about a lot. They talk about, how do I find my purpose? How do you know if you found your purpose? How do you know if you're living your purpose? You hear people talk about that a lot once they're working with a coach. But see, I don't think that people are hiring coaches merely just to find their life purpose. But I think that we help them discover and find their purpose along the way so that they know that they're actually on track. We're helping them really find due north in their life. And let me say this as an aside. Next week, I'm going to be talking about how to help clients find their why. Next week's going to be amazing. I've taught this before, but we're going to spend one more week on this portion to really help a client get as much clarity. Because if you can find out what the heart wants to do, if you can get the goals and all of these things and vision and all of these things aligned with where the heart is already calibrated for due north, then you've got a client that's going to get significant breakthrough and they're going to achieve a lot. See, a lot of times what happens is that we start things and then we don't finish them. And there's a lot of different reasons why we don't finish things. And sometimes the reason why we don't finish things is just simply because our heart's not actually truly calibrated for that thing. We tried it and we're like, that didn't really scratch the itch. We tried it and it's like, that doesn't really resonate with my heart like I thought that it would. We try it and you're just like, that's really not what I feel really ticking here, but it was a good attempt. But sometimes it makes people feel like, well, I don't want to keep trying the wrong thing. Or nothing would be worse than putting up a ladder and climbing a ladder and discovering that you're at the wrong window when it was over there. So how do we know what the window is and everything else? This is what helping a client come into their purpose. And next week, we'll talk specifically about finding their why. Now, in this whole thing of purpose, and before I jump any further, if you want the slides tonight, because we're going to have some great questions that you're going to be asking your clients and everything else, you'll want these slides, I would assume. So if you want the slides, text that number, do it real quick. It's going to redirect you to a page, and then you are going to be able to download the slides. So do that really quick. I'll give you like 2 minutes to do it. No, I'm not even going to give you 2 minutes. I'm going to give you like 2 seconds to do it. So 1, 1.5, and then okay, that's 2. That's enough. So let's talk about purpose. Why does purpose drive lasting motivation? Here's the reason why purpose drives lasting motivation, because it's all about meaning. It's about finding meaning in your client's life. And clients thrive when they feel like their work matters and their actions are actually contributing to something larger than themselves. And I think that probably everybody, and if you polled, matter of fact, you could even try this tonight. You could get on your phone even right now and text 10 people that you know, and you could probably ask them, tell me if the job that you're working right now, because you got to think about this, people every day of their life are getting up in the morning and they are usually taking a shower. They're usually brushing their teeth. They are fixing their hair. They're ironing clothes. They went to bed the night before to get up and do all of this. And they probably have a cup of coffee and maybe they have something to eat. And then they leave their house for at a certain time, all to get to a job that very possibly all day long they don't feel like that job and what they're giving themselves to is actually connected to any kind of a significant purpose. Imagine, and maybe that's some of you guys, maybe that's why you're wanting to become a coach. Matter of fact, I know that that's true why most people want to become a coach, because all of us have a sense. There's something, there's an inkling, there's a deep ticking in our heart that is like, okay, I know that if I keep doing this thing that I'm doing in my life that is not meaningful or purposeful, I might actually miss it. And I think that people probably have a subtle sense of that. But if you ask them, try it right now. Text people and say, hey, the work that you're doing, because you got to think about, they are going to bed early for this job. They are getting up early and they're going through all of this routine and ritual and they're planning out what they're going to eat and everything else for the day. And then they spend, so you're talking about a minimum of 10 or 11 hours a day that goes through prep, getting ready, going to work, putting in the work, and then coming home only to do it the next day. And most people can't say that they found any kind of meaning or anything that they were doing was significant. And you find people who are working and they're not really motivated, are they? They're kind of doing, you know what people do? They fake work. Do you guys know what fake working is? I mess with our students all the time about this. Fake work is when you figured out your job enough that it really doesn't take you 8 hours to do your job. So you kind of just cruise and you look busy and you check social media and your watch all day and you stretch out that 1 or 2 hours of work. I know some of you are brilliant. Like some of you are truly brilliant. Coaches are always overachievers. So you figured that job out a long time ago. So what do we do is our end game is just making the money. It's really a means to an end. It's not a means to a purpose. And this is what most people are actually doing. So you find very unmotivated people. So they're already working a job where they're not giving their best. And most people feel terrible about the fact that they are not giving their best. They're not coming into their potential and everything else. So in coaching, whatever it is that people are wanting to step into, I want to connect it with purpose, because if I connect it with purpose, now I've got their heart aligned with something that is going to keep them in the game longer. Because the truth is that change is hard. If change wasn't hard, everybody would already be doing it. And so we need it to connect with purpose so that we have a greater chance that they're going to finish up. It also gives a reason to be resilient. What do you mean by that, Paul? What I mean by that is that when clients connect their goals to a bigger purpose, they stay focused and they stay motivated even during challenges. because the reality is that there's going to be some setbacks in the coaching process. Going towards a goal means that people are probably going to be experiencing failure. The wheels are going to fall off at times. We expect those kinds of things. It's actually where growth and learning happens. We're not really afraid of that as coaches. The thing is that I am afraid of is that if somebody's not connected to something that feels very purposeful, the first time that they feel like resistance or difficulty, then they're going to quit. And I want them to be connected to something that is an actual bigger purpose, because when it's a bigger purpose and they know it's actually aligned with their heart, then they're going to treat setbacks a little bit differently, because again, they're going after meaning, and this is going to keep them in the game. And another thing that'll keep them motivated and in the game is that thing adds another layer of accountability when they are connected to a bigger purpose. And when I say accountability, I'm talking about the people who are counting on you. And if you quit, because what I think is that a lot of times people are more than willing to quit on themselves, even if it's kind of purposeful, global purpose, big impact, whatever. But when people, like an individual, experiences a setback, it's kind of easy to be like, you know what? Nobody cares. Nobody's watching. It's just me. And so people will, like me, I will quit on me any day of the week. But you know who I'm not going to quit on? First off, I'm not going to quit on my children, because they need me to show up in the best form that I possibly can. They need me to show up in how I live life and everything else. They need me to show up at the very least to bring home the bacon, because my not showing up actually completely affects whether or not they are going to show up in their life, whether they're going to have access to things. Even my own credibility with my children, to tell them, what you're called for, and what am I going to do when they deal with setbacks? Well, why don't you do what your dad did? I quit every time there was a setback. We don't want to have that conversation with our kids. And they know when we're playing small. They really do. Kids are the smartest. And they only get smarter when they're younger. Like the youngest kid seems to be the clearest seeing and will call you out. And I've had 3 daughters, and they will all call you out on these kinds of things. I remember my oldest daughter years ago saying, "Man, I think that you and mom are actually meant for more." And boy, it was like, and I didn't take it personally, because I knew she was right. And she's just kind of like watching, and she's seeing stuff in us that maybe we didn't see in ourselves. Like, that's a really, like, man, to have a child tell you something like that. And for me, it just made me want to be like, you know what am I going to say? Oh, I'm living my fullest potential, because I knew I couldn't say that at that time. So when when we're going after this thing, we have to understand that your clients are going to have some blocks to actually finding their purpose. That first block, and I'm going to go into great detail about it next week, but one of the biggest blocks to a client finding their purpose is this disconnection from values. And when I describe what a value is, I just say that it's what's most important to you. And next week, we'll go into great detail about what that why is, someone's why. Like, do you know what your why is every day of your life? Because if you don't know what your why is, you're probably living an unfulfilled life right now. If you do know what your why is, then you know why you're unfulfilled, because you're not living into what is actually most important to you. So if someone is doing something and they're chasing a goal, and it's not aligned somehow with what's most important to them, then they're not going to really stay motivated in the process, and they're likely to quit. And so it's critical that we help our clients get clear about what matters most. Another thing, though, is that people oftentimes have are really unclear about the impact of their role. So let's say, and when I say that, let's say that someone was working for a company, and they are digging wells for the impoverished in Africa, because they don't have water. That's what the organization that they work for does, or that's what the company does that they work for. But what if you worked in the mailroom every day? And what your role is certain things about shipping and making sure that people get their mail and a lot of these other kinds of things. That's a real disconnect for people when it's really unclear that it's like, well, what's your purpose? Well, my purpose in life is to actually help people get clean drinking water. Okay, well, to what degree are you living into that? Well, I'm working in the mail room. Well, I think that that's the case for a lot of people who have global purposes and really big things. There's only so many slots for the people who are spearheading things. And I think a lot of times when it comes to these global kinds of efforts or really big efforts in a city or an organization or whatever, that the people who get to get the feels out of it sometimes are the face of the organization, or they're the voice of the organization or whatever. And somehow along the way that people have a really hard time of being able to connect what it is that they're actually doing with that greater purpose. And that's really demotivating if every day you went to work and you're like, well, what I'm doing is not really as significant as the people who are drilling the wells, who are negotiating things and meeting people. I'm just over here doing stuff. Now, what that means for us is that we need to help, whatever that purpose is, help that client get clear as to whatever that purpose is, how their role is actually contributing towards that purpose. And here's one thing that I'll say. Um, Clients are probably going to be wondering if what they are doing really actually matters, and if it's really making an impact. And here's how I believe that we fix this. How we fix this is understanding that most roles are not going to have a global impact. Most purposes are not going to be end world hunger, cure cancer, do whatever. You know, they really aren't. I mean, I hopefully that's not like a total news flash, and it's definitely not a buzzkill, but not everybody's purpose is to an end like that. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that. And here's the other thing that I'd say is that even if you are in a organization or doing something that has a noble purpose that is global in scope or something like that, you're still going to be wondering whether or not what you are actually doing is actually contributing in a meaningful way to the whole. So this is what I tell my coaches. Don't try to go after a purpose that is always this, global whatever. What we really need to think about is that these legacy, when people will talk like, what legacy do you want to carry? What do you want to do? I think that 99% of the people don't connect with that legacy kind of language. And they don't connect with global purpose kind of language, because I don't think that most people think of themselves on a global scale. I don't think most people think of themselves that bigly. They really don't. So instead of insulting people by asking questions like that, I think that purpose is still very important, but we have to understand how purpose connects every day in someone's life. My purpose, I'm going to have a really hard time probably thinking about my job right now, or my role, or even my goal impacting thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of people out there. Though it does, going and working in any kind of a role or whatever does have a meaningful contribution to humanity. But I think that coaches who want to talk legacy and they want to talk in this kind of way, that sometimes what you end up doing is that we need to make this tangible. It's so intangible and it's so ambiguous, and sometimes you're making a really, really big stretch to make that connect. So you know what you got to do? You got to connect it with home. You need to put it in this person's world in a way that's so personal and meaningful that they see these individuals every day in their life. And it makes them think about it like this: if I don't show up in my world at a high level every day, and this is true. People are already right now, when they're showing up in their work, they're just going, it doesn't matter if I do a good job or a mediocre job. an exceptional job. Nobody notices it. I'm not going to make any more money, and I'm already not getting paid what I'm worth or whatever. So you have low motivation kinds of people and everything else. I need this to get so personal with people that they actually, in a meaningful way, see it in front of their face, see with their eyes every day someone that it matters to. And that can be anybody. It can be their spouse, it can be their children, it can be anybody. Because again, I need this life purpose thing to be something that isn't so far reaching and intangible that I can't taste it. That if I don't show up for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, that no one notices at all. I need this to actually come closer to home. So, as we ask these purpose questions, what I'm giving you today in these purpose questions are what I call close to home questions that actually unlock purpose. Question number one: who loses the most if you stay where you are right now? See how personal that is? And it's connecting it with a who, which not only personalizes it in someone's heart, someone that you don't want to disappoint or whatever, but it actually adds a layer of accountability as well. Who stands the most? Who stands to lose the most if you don't follow through on this goal? Who misses out on a better life if you hold back from making this change? Maybe I could take a step back and ask these purpose questions to you guys who have not gotten trained and certified, and here you are again on a Monday watching me. Or some of you who have gotten trained and certified some months ago, but you haven't pulled the trigger. Let me just ask these questions to you, because if you've lost motivation, let's get it into your motivator. Because some of you are kind of like, well, I've been following this coaching track because I think that it would be really more meaningful and I could get better work-life balance and maybe I can make more money or whatever. And then you just sat on your hands at a certain point and didn't do anything. There's somebody who's losing right now because you've made that choice. There's somebody beside you who's missing out. Maybe they don't know it, but maybe that motivator in your heart starts eating at you that you're not really showing up in life at the level that you could, that you're not stewarding your gift, that you're not stewarding your purpose right now, that you know that you're called to. Because here's what I believe in life. I believe that there is a certain grace that every one of us dispenses. Even if we are all coaches in the room, there's still a certain grace in your life that you dispense to people that only comes through you, because there's nobody like you. And there's also nobody who is connected to the network of people that you are. And there's people who are looking for your voice, for your face. They're not looking for cookie cutter coaches. They are not looking for Paul Dabdu. They're not looking for Tony Robbins, and they're not looking for any of these other people. They're not looking for cookie cutter coaches either. They're looking for your voice. They're looking for your calling to emerge. And if you're not showing up and you keep delaying this thing, then that means somebody else is losing besides you. Who loses the most? These are personal questions for you. Who loses the most if you stay where you are right now? Who stands to lose the most if you don't follow through on this goal? Who misses out on a better life because you're holding back from making this change? What would change for your family or loved ones if you made this happen? Listen, if it doesn't really matter to you so much, what about your family? Those are key motivators for me, I'll tell you, and they were for me as a dad. Sometimes I'll share this picture, but I found this old picture and I don't even know why I took the picture, because I definitely didn't think it was funny, and I'm mad at maybe I didn't even take the picture. But it was on an old phone that didn't have a great camera on it back then. So this is like 2008 or something like that. And I'd been laid off for 6 months, and all of our stuff went in storage, and the rest of our stuff was in the back of our Chrysler Grand Voyager that had a major transmission issue and a squeaky belt. It's always going, and then it finally blew up and wouldn't go more than 40 miles an hour. And I have this picture, and all of our junk in white trash bags was in the back. and the kids are in the car. And for me, as a dad, that's the most heartbreaking picture ever because I never thought that I would be in that position. And um we can talk about lenses and self-criticism and everything else, but the reality was is that I never thought I'd be in that position, and I thought that I was absolutely failing. And one thing for sure is I never wanted to look like that again or feel like that ever again. And because that is, out of everything, my greatest purpose is always going to be to my wife and to my kids. And in that, it was like, okay, we've got to do something. This looks really bad. This looks like everything that I listened to in the news is telling me not to do this thing and that there aren't options, and we're getting food from the food bank, like literally. And it was enough in me that stirred something that I end up becoming someone that I never thought was possible before that moment. Because I was never going to start a business. I was never going to do something on my own. That was terrifying. But the reality is that when I got a regular job at the end of that recession, I was making a fraction of what I was making before, and we were barely making it. And so these are the kinds of things that, like, I personalize it in that way. Paul doesn't need too much. I need a couch and a microwave, and I'm set. Give me a stick of deodorant and a shower and a microwave and a couch, and that is all Paul needs, because I don't really care about any of that other stuff. But it's not about me just getting my needs met. It's about the the fact that I have kids, and I have, literally at this point of my life, thousands of people who are waiting on me to show up in a big way. So that's one of the things, is that it's actually selfish if we know that we're gifted people and we could be doing more, if we're only seeking to get our own needs met or barely getting our own family's needs met. And there's no shame in that if that's all that you're able to actually do. But every one of us are sitting here right now because we believe that we were actually made for something more. And we believe that we're capable of so much more. And I actually believe that you can. I believe personally that human beings are infinite. I don't believe they're eternal. You're not God, but we haven't seen what a person looks like that has zero fear in their life and no limiting beliefs. I don't care about the talent and skill or how much know-how, because you can always acquire more skill and you can work a little bit harder and you can develop better habits and you can learn a few more things or whatever. And there's free ways of learning that. I don't care about that. What I really care about is that if you think that you're limited, then you are absolutely limited. It's absolutely true, and you will live into that. So if we could take those limiting beliefs, and especially the fear of what other people's opinions are, fear of failure and everything else, then we know that everybody who's sitting here, and inside that you haven't scratched the surface of your potential. How would achieving this goal improve the day-to-day life of the people that you care about most? Five more question. What's the first immediate difference you'd notice in your own life if you started today? Again, because we want people to move on things. We want people to take action. If you don't act on this now, what's at risk in your life or relationships? And this is a great question because I tell our coaches all the time that pain is a greater motivator than pleasure. So when we turn risk in this way, what are you at risk of for you in starting your coaching practice if you don't do this? What is the risk in your own life, and what is your own risk in your relationships? How does this goal align with what matters most to you? We're going to spend all next week on that. If this change impacted just one person you care about, who would it be? And I think sometimes we need to think about that. Sometimes the thing that gets you past the hard place in the movement. I was thinking about this one all over again this morning when I was in my own quiet time. Joy, being able to see what things look like over here, enables you to actually get through the difficult things and the scary things, because I'm not focused on the scary anymore, and I'm not focused on the difficult or how hard something is. I'm only focused on what's over here. And that joy that you can live into when you dream about it, visualize it, whatever, is enough to actually get you through in that other way. One more question. What would it mean to finally show yourself that this change is possible? Again, 10 close to home questions that unlock purpose. Hey, if you want these slides, text the word slides right now to 833-258-7547. You scroll down the page and you can download them as a PDF. That way you got all these great questions that you can use on yourself or you can use on your clients in your onboarding process. This weekend, what is this weekend? This weekend is boot camp weekend. So for you guys who want to get trained and certified before January 1. Now, you know what? You want to live into your purpose? Tell me the truth. You want to live into your purpose or do you want to put it off until 2025? When January is when all of the clients are knocking on your door because they're thinking about changing their life. And people are already thinking about January 1 right now. And people are like, and this is one of the things that I tell our coaches, did a whole series on it on Mentor Monday. You know that November and December are extraordinary business months for coaches, and they're always like flaking out and going to sleep because they're like, well, everybody's busy with family. They don't want to hear from me. What are you talking about? Companies get in the black in Thanksgiving. That's why they call it Black Friday, because they might have been in the red, and they can have one day that completely puts their whole company into the black, which is crazy. People are spending a ton of money on the things they normally would have never spent on before. And right now they're thinking about, man, I've been taking care of everybody else, but they're unsatisfied as they're coming towards the end of this year. They're like, I thought I was going to be farther along. I thought I was going to get some things done. I thought I was going to get in shape. I thought I was going to change careers this year. And now they're thinking because they're getting a couple of days off. And you know what? After that turkey wears off, that ham wears off, and that little endorphin rush from watching the kids open up the presents, that dopamine fix that they got, they start thinking about their life and the fact that they're going into another year living unpurposefully and not doing things. And they're not going to make it if they don't find a coach. They're not going to die, but their dreams are going to die unless they find accountability and someone who can walk them through the process. This particular weekend allows you to knock all your training out in a single weekend, and it's live online over Zoom. It's 7 powerful weekend sessions. We start Friday night with Foundations of Coaching, and then we go 3 sessions on Saturday and 3 sessions on Sunday, and you're done. We go through the anatomy of a dynamic coaching session. We show you what coaching looks like. We watch a demo, and then I take you piece by piece as to what of what a coaching session actually looks like, and I give you a couple of different coaching models. We spend a session on how to help your clients get extraordinary results. We're talking about goal setting, and we're talking about accountability. We have 2 sessions on powerful listening skills, how to listen on a transformational level, how to avoid your own listening pitfalls, what should be actually getting your attention in coaching sessions and all that. A session on how to ask powerful questions, and then we finish up where I give you the first steps to establishing a growing, thriving coaching practice. We include the weekend with live coaching demos and live Q&As. And let me just show you what all is included. Obviously, you get the weekend with live Q&As and role playing. You're also going to get a lot of bonuses. Brandable templates, because as you guys are doing your onboarding process with your clients, you're going to need coaching agreements. You're going to need a welcome pack and everything else. And what we've done, and we've placed it inside your course, that you can download all of this into Canva. It's fully editable. You can change the color schemes. You can put your logo in it. You can change the words or whatever. But we've put that together so that you're not having to go elsewhere to find it. We give you a coaching tool starter kit, and we give you tons of question samples. Obviously, you're earning your life coach certification. You'll receive your certificate. You get replays and handouts and everything else. Plus, we invite you back on Tuesday nights for a live Tuesday night coach training. Every Tuesday, I go through those sessions in rolling format week by week, and you get to connect with other students, and you get to continue to ask your questions so that you're not on your own. So even though we roll everything out in a single weekend, we don't make you do this thing alone. And so you'll find other students. Granted, in this particular weekend, you'll find brilliant people that will be connected to you, accountability partners, friends who are in the trenches. Plus, you're going to continue to hear from us every week on Tuesday nights so that you can continue to connect and go deep in your learning. The cost, the value of this is easily $3,500, $4,500, but we're only charging you $295 one-time payment. There is a payment plan, but the best deal is just to pay the one-time payment. And this weekend is when it is all happening. So when are you going to get this thing done? If you don't do it this weekend, because we're not offering this again, we're not offering boot camp again until February. So you're going to miss out on the really the second. It's a close second with September, best business month out of the entire year, where people are actually asking you to be their coach, not you asking them to be your client. And I don't want to see you miss out on this thing. So let's get enrolled. The link is inside the description of this video. It'll take you like 90 seconds to get enrolled, and we'll see you this weekend. And it's going to be a fun, fun time. Let me say hello to a couple of people who are saying hello. Eric has joined Jumpstart. Awesome. Yeah, it's one of our programs that we do business development and all of those other things. Good to see you, Eric. And Erica says, get excited about your future. And we are the hero of our story. Steve says, great training. I just got my certificate tonight. Way to go, Steven. Good job. Good job. Well, awesome, everybody. Listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. What we're going to do is we're going to put this video on replay for the people who got here a little bit late. Get enrolled. Click inside the description of this video, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and you can get enrolled in like 90 seconds and join us this weekend, December 13th through 15th. One session on Friday, 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and you're done. You can also click that link, and before you enroll, you can look at the structure of the day as well as the schedule and everything else. What we do is we do a session, 1 hour break, a session, 1 hour break, and then we do our third session of the day, and then we break for the day, go to the next day. So totally worth it. Amazing weekend, and we're gonna train and certify some game changers this weekend. I hope you're ready to step into your purpose. We'll see you next week. We're going to talk about the why behind the why and helping your clients find it. Appreciate you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week and take care.